Hey, welcome back to Switchcast. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I don't know how many of you noticed, but we were off last week. Well, some say we're off every week. Hey-o. But we were not here last week, actually. We were prepping to go to the Audrain Motor Week in Newport, Rhode Island, which we'll touch on a few highlights from that event. But anyway, Switchcast is the podcast where we seek to educate, edify, and entertain you on the drive of your life. I'm your host, Doug Tabbitt, founder of Switch Cars, and I'm here with Ethan Huffnagel, producer, and Tyler Sanders, that guy that's off camera, who will be bantering and taking your questions. If you're watching live on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, throw those questions and comments in, and we'll do our best to get to them. We have a full docket today, thanks to our week off. Automotive things just keep happening every day, whether we're here or not, so we want to touch on a whole bunch of stuff that's happened, give our opinion on it, and hopefully it's somewhat helpful to you. If not helpful, then entertaining. Are we leaning towards helpful or entertaining? Is it edify and educate or entertain? Which is the...
I think as the level, for those of you watching, the level on Doug's gin and tonic, as that lowers, I think we might switch into the more entertaining and less
inversely
educational.
Proportional.
Right. I'm saying as a podcast overall, but yes, okay.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Throughout the night. So, the latest news out, some of you may have been paying attention to Porsche's coolest new creation, which is the Porsche 911 ST. Yep, it is a throwback to the original ST. I wonder how many people who own 911Rs or STs or anything that has a name that gives homage, like a Porsche Boxster S550 edition or whatever, the RS60 Spider. How many of those people know that they're throwbacks to race cars of yesteryear? I feel like probably some people do, but I'm so jaded with these guys that have limited production Porsches but don't actually know what they stand for, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
go ahead, Tyler.
I was gonna ask you how you feel about the Porsche bringing back these names for these cars, and they represent. I guess the current iteration is not entirely what the original one was, but it's kind of halfway there. I'll call it.
I like the ST because it's everything I would want in a 911, right? It's just over 3,000 pounds, which is super incredibly light for a modern car with all the required safety bells and whistles.
That's crazy.
Yes.
It's like the same weight as my car.
Right. Reduced sound insulation, lightweight flywheel, 6-speed manual gearbox, 4-liter flat six, high revving, naturally aspirated. It's everything I would want in a car other than the $300,000 freaking price tag. The 718 Boxster and Cayman is where they lost me on that tributary naming. That's Michael Scott word I made up. Tributary. Tributary feeds a pond or a river. The 718 was a proper race car back in the day. Now it's just a Subaru engine, or not really, but it sounds like a dang Subaru Boxster engine in a Boxster. Boxer and a Boxster. And they're like, oh yeah, they're both 4-cylinder engines, so it's a tribute. And it's like, no, you ran out of numbers and you had to come up with some excuse for going away from a beautifully sounding, well-engineered flat 6 engine to a flat 4 turbo that sounds like, if you close your eyes, you're like, oh, it's a hatchback with gold wheels and the driver's vaping. Nope, it's a Porsche. Right? So, in that sense, I think the tributary naming is stupid. But the 911 ST and the 911R are pretty cool.
So I came across an article this week.
I'd buy a 911R.
Oh, would you? I can't believe I let you continue with that. So I saw
if
an
I was a
article-
Southern rapper, I'd
nope.
buy a 911 iced tea.
All right, Ethan, you can take it from here, right? You're good. I think I'm just gonna leave.
Did you want to say something constructive, Tyler?
Potentially, but. So I read an article this week because we've had a lot of problems with the dirty scalpers. You know what I'm saying? People buying things and selling them for more money on the secondary market.
No.
Kind of. Have you done that before?
Never.
Once or twice. So, in an effort to deter this, Ford with the GT, wasn't it 2 years that there was some legal agreement that you wouldn't sell it?
I think it was a year, but yes, it was a fairly ironclad contract. John Cena violated it, and Ford sued him, and he either settled or lost.
So it was little intense.
He didn't win. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Did he have to keep the? Did he still sell the car?
He still sold the car,
He
as
just
far
had
as
to
I
give Ford
know.
money.
Yeah, probably should have looked that up before I made some flippant comment.
So Porsche, in an effort to deter this, is going to lease the 911 ST to the new owners for a year. So this is different than what Ford did, because I guess a lease is a type of a contract, but it won't be in the owner's name for a year.
So, how many of you remember the Ferrari F50?
Very fondly, but not in a I could afford it kind of way.
Right. So when the Ferrari F50, as soon as I saw this article, it made me think of that. When the Ferrari F50 came out, it was a mandatory 3-year lease because Ferrari was annoyed because the F40 market got ruined by flippers. So many people were flipping it and the market crashed, which I have a problem with that sentiment for one, right? Because flippers don't ruin the market. Typically, they make it go up. The F40 market crashed because the global market crashed, period. You look at any Ferrari prices between 1989 and 1992, and they went in half or worse. So you can't blame flippers for that. Anyway, they wanted to protect against resale, so they created a mandatory 3-year lease. However, people got around it because, and let's disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to get into the, just wade in here to my best understanding of it. But essentially, some consumer protection law to do with the FTC or whatever. But people said, well, if you want to pay off your house, the mortgage company can't force you to stay in the contract. They can charge a prepayment penalty as long as it's in your contract, but they cannot force you to stay in debt, right? If you want to be released from the contract and pay it off, you have to be allowed to. So people went after Ferrari and said, you can't continue to hold a lien on the F50 if I want to pay off this lease. You have to release me from it. So Ferrari lost that battle. So I'm curious how Porsche's going to do with this. If they've figured out some loophole or written it in such a way that people can't be released from it, I have a real hard time believing that there isn't some way out of this. However, regardless of the legality or not of these contracts, and again, a topic I'm not qualified to discuss in depth, I think one thing I've learned is that you don't want to be in a legal battle with Porsche, right? So, it doesn't matter whether or not you could be right and sue your way out of this 1-year lease. You just don't want to be there.
Never get another limited special Porsche ever again.
Correct. Correct. And, that maybe you don't care, maybe you don't want to, but yeah, it's when I was flipping Porsches and my antitrust attorney was advising me on whether or not I should take a Porsche to court for violating antitrust laws, he basically said the same thing. You don't want to be in a legal battle with Porsche. You're right. You will win, but don't do this. It's not worth it. So yeah, you just don't want to be on Porsche's bad side. It's like corporate mafia. So whether or not this lease is enforceable, it's there, and just, don't violate it.
Do you think it will work to cool off the what feels kind of like immense hype for this car? Or is it just going to be like everybody's got a countdown timer on their desktop? It's like, oh, it's so close.
Here's the thing. I actually think it's brilliant marketing. I don't think they're intending to stop flippers at all. I think all of this is like pre-hyping the car, and it's like reverse marketing. So it's like if you owned a bar and you hired 100 people to stand outside of it every night to like make it like there's a line. That's the bar everybody wants to go to because people want exclusivity. They fall all over themselves to have something that nobody else can have. So before the car's even being released, Porsche is creating a perception of exclusivity. There might have been zero flippers who were interested. They might have said 300 grand. Screw that. I don't want that. But now all of a sudden people are going, oh gosh, they're doing this lease, so you can't flip it because everybody was going to flip it. So I got to make sure to get one. I don't think they care about cooling off. Their entire 918 VIP program turned all of their best customers into speculators, into flippers.
Yeah.
They're creating their own secondary market for cars by making it taboo. So on that vein, though, there were some great suggestions. I wish I had come up with them. I didn't. But there are some great actual suggestions on how to, if they really cared about preventing people from flipping the ST, what they could do. One of them was just make more cars, right? Instead of making 1963 or whatever they're doing, just make 10,000 of them. Then people won't flip them. Oh, no, we can't do that. We have to keep them exclusive. Okay, well, then you're going to have flippers. My suggestion, as it was when the GT3 RS came out and I was flipping them and Porsche called me and said, please stop. Why are you doing this? I said, well, just raise your price. If there's no margin in it for me, I'll go away.
Do you think the ST being 300 grand was an attempt at doing that, or is that just what this costs now? Because the 911R was like 200. Actually, what was it? Before I sound like an idiot.
The 911R was 200.
Okay.
But Porsche wants, all of these manufacturers want to look like they're the good guy too, right? So they want to say, oh, well, we're protecting the enthusiasts. So we're keeping the price lower and selling it only to enthusiasts. I don't believe that.
There is not enough enthusiasts that have $300,000 to burn on a car. Like there's some, like they're enthusiasts.
Define enthusiast.
Well, okay,
but
that's
yes,
true.
But to that end, my absolute favorite suggestion on how to prevent people flipping new Porsches.
All right, what
you
is
ready for this? I can't believe I didn't think of this. I love the guy who came up with this, girl, whomever did it. They institute a minimum mileage that you have to achieve before you can resell it.
Oh, I like that.
How awesome would that be? Oh, because the collectors who are shoving it in their garages and never driving it would never sell them anyway.
Yeah.
But then, like, all the flippers who are like, I'm going to keep it for 6 months and drive it 6 miles and then flip it. Nope. Sorry. You got to put 5,000 miles on it before you can sell it again.
Oh, that is making so many people cry right now, but I'm so happy with the thought of that.
But they say they want enthusiasts to own them. They want to protect enthusiasts' like ability and right to purchase these cars. True enthusiasts, by my definition, drive their cars.
Yeah.
I would totally go for that. If you're like, hey, you can buy this car sticker, but you got to put 10,000 miles on it before you can sell it. Deal.
Sold. Yeah, I don't know how they would enforce that, but I think that is probably, for all of us enthusiasts that are talking about, how could they, act like they're caring about this and yada, 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 and drive up their own secondary market, the mileage would do it. But boy, that would sure piss off a lot of people.
Yes. Yes, it would. Speaking of speculation, flipping, whatever, well, long-term flipping, RM Sotheby's is auctioning off the all-white Porsche collection out of Houston.
Ooh, I actually have
56 Porsches that are all white, which I'm sorry, I saw this and I'm like, boring.
Well, Charles Putt, I think that answers your question. Charles Putt on YouTube asked if you were planning on being involved in any way with the auction of the Porsche White Collection in Texas.
I'm pretty sure I sold that guy a couple cars like a decade ago. So the collection's been being amassed for a long time. Just like personal taste, I'm like, I like variety. So I wouldn't have that many Porsches, period, because I'd have other cars and I'd have lots of different colors and stuff. Like, as much as I love burgundy, I couldn't have 60 burgundy cars. I have 2, and I'm like, I think that's good. I need a green one and a blue one. But
I think I could have 60 green cars. I got to be honest. I think I could live with that. I'd fall on that sword.
But they wouldn't all be Porsches.
No, you're right. They wouldn't.
You
The
gotta
majority of them
experience lots
probably
of
would
things.
be, but I would definitely have a lot of, like a green 355. Oh, my goodness. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. On that note, let us pay for this podcast and go to a commercial break.
Switchcast is brought to you by Boxcast. Boxcast is a live streaming company based in Cleveland, Ohio, and they serve broadcasters and viewers around the world. Their founders launched Boxcast back in 2013 with a single purpose: to make people a part of the experience. If you're looking to live stream your podcast, church service, car show, sporting event, wedding, or even your cannonball attempt, Boxcast is an easy and flexible live streaming platform for organizations. Boxcast is so easy that we're broadcasting this show with a phone. So head on over to switchcars.com/Boxcast for your free trial. And not only are Doug and I back this week, but the Corvette curmudgeon is back with us. How you doing?
Oh, just fine. A little bit tired, but...
Why are you tired? I know it's late, but like...
Well, it's dark out.
It is. I kind of got a little depressed today. It's like barely 7 o'clock and it's already dark outside. It's very sad. Have you put your Corvette away?
Well, no, not yet. But I'm thinking it's getting close because can't drive it with salt on the roads, and it is October, so it's getting darn close.
Getting real close.
And well, honestly, the car show season's almost over, so that's I don't take it out after the car show season's over. No point in driving it otherwise.
So Doug mentioned when we started the podcast tonight that we went to the Audrain Motor Week and Concours d'Elegance this past weekend. Have you ever been to the Audrain?
Well, I don't know what them Frenchy French words are, but yeah, I was out at the Audrain this week.
Wait, were you really?
Yep. The team here at this TV radio cast thingamajigger in a pod, they invited me out and said they'd pay for my hotel, which I was like, "Wow, shoot, yeah, free. I'm in." But yeah, it was interesting. It was nothing like Carlisle or Hershey. I did stop at Hershey on my way home, but it was kind of ridiculous. I mean, they had a Corvette corral there, and I didn't take my Corvette, of course. Too many miles too far to drive it, and it's might rain. So, but yeah, there were only 4 cars showed up. I know why, because it was raining that day. But they wanted $25 to park on the lawn.
Where was the Corvette corral even at? Because I didn't see it.
It was at a hotel down the street from the event.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I think I saw like a couple of C8s or something.
Yeah, it was all them newfangled ones, and I went up to them, tried to talk to them about how special my older Corvette was, and they didn't seem to care. So it was, I don't know, them New England people are a different bunch.
They really did. You have any lobster rolls while you were out there?
No, that food's too fancy for me. No.
All right.
It's expensive, too. Friggin' $30 for same bun as a hot dog.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it's what's inside the bun that counts.
But anyway, they had this fancy show on Sunday, all these old cars and stuff, some pretty cool stuff. But there was only one Corvette on the whole field. I don't know what their problem was.
I thought there was 2.
I only saw one. It was a 63. It was super nice. Not as rare as mine, but it was pretty nice. Can't believe the guy drove it on the grass. So friggin' got his car all dirty and grass on his tires and stuff like that. I wouldn't do that to that's nice of a car. But yeah, these people call themselves car people, and they invite cars from all over the world. They say they want rare cars, and they only bring one Corvette.
What was your favorite car that you saw, though?
The Corvette. What
a
dumb freaking question is that?
If
all these French cars, I couldn't pronounce their names.
oh, like the Delahaye, did you see that? That was pretty.
Something like that.
If you had to
Swoopy fenders, looked like something Cruella DeVille would drive.
Yeah, it did. Oh, so cool. What was your favorite part about the weekend? In the entire thing, everything you saw, everything you did, what was your favorite part?
The free hotel room was pretty good.
Honestly, I need to figure out how you got hooked up with that because I did not get graced with the same benefit. Was it a nice hotel?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Alrighty, well, I can't believe that we were at the same place and did not see each other at all, but I got to admit I wasn't hanging out at the Corvette Corral too much. But maybe next year. Will you go back, do you think?
I don't know about that. Maybe maybe I'll have to email them and tell them they need to have a Corvette class at that show.
Would you enter your Corvette?
Well, no, because it might rain.
Oh, that's true. It is New England. It rained a lot.
Yeah,
quite
sure did. Good thing I have my Corvette rain jacket with me.
Oh, yeah. Keep you nice and dry.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much to the Corvette Curmudgeon for coming out as always. It was good to chat with you again. Brought to you unwittingly by the Corvette Buy Sell Trade Group on Facebook. That is your source for cranky boomers, overpriced Corvettes, and reinforced stereotypes. Welcome back, Doug.
Thank you.
So we just got done talking to the Corvette Curmudgeon about Audrain, and I know you and I were there. I didn't see him at all.
Yeah.
But that was a great time, wasn't it?
It was pretty fantastic. It usually is. For 4 years now, they've been doing the Audrain Concours.
Yes.
And it's already one of the preeminent events in the country. They had a lot of big-name celebrities there judging and doing seminars.
Yeah, I saw
Heck,
Chip
they
Foose
brought
walking
the
around.
Corvette curmudgeon out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chip Foose saved my bacon.
Oh, really? How's that?
Right. So I got asked to judge there.
What class did you judge?
Surprisingly, I judged the 30 under 30, which is vehicle owners under 30, and they paid less than 30 grand for their cars. And it was 80s and 90s. So there's different meetings and stuff the judges all have to be at, and certain expectations, most of which are laid out. But we got this beautiful yellow necktie at the beginning of the week, and I'm like, oh, well, cool. I never wear ties, but thanks. It looks cool. Look great hanging in my closet. And so Sunday morning, get up. The shuttle for the judges is leaving at 6:15 a.m.
Oh, my
right?
goodness.
The show starts at like 10, but we got to be there early and yada, yada, yada. So I go out there at like 6:05, plenty of time, right? I'm looking around. Everybody's wearing their yellow tie. I was like, I didn't see that on the list of things you have to do. But I was like asking a couple people, I'm like, is this mandatory? They're like, well, you got the blazer, you're fine. I think it's just suggested or whatever. And then my buddy Sean, who is probably the youngest judge there, but he's kind of he wore cowboy boots and a cowboy hat to the black tie gala and stuff. So he's my lines of like kind of not the black sheep, but the kind of rule breaker type of thing. So, and he's been there judging multiple years. Very, very smart guy. And he was wearing his tie. And I was like, okay, if you're wearing your tie, I have to wear mine. So it's like 6:10 at this point. So I run back to my hotel room, get the tie out of the plastic, and I'm frantically trying to remember how to tie a stinking tie. I don't have time to look it up on YouTube again. So I finally get it on, and it's like 6:14. I'm like, I can't miss the shuttle. This is my first year judging. My whole plan here was just don't make waves. Don't screw up and don't make waves. Just exist. Go along with whatever all the other judges say. No strong opinions. And completely antithetical to my entire personality. And I had this precursor of this is what's going to happen in my mind because I have severe FOMO. It's like, I'm going to get out there and the lobby's going to be empty. All 40 judges that were in the lobby are not going to be there anymore, and I will have missed the bus. And I'm like, no, it's 6:14. The bus is leaving at 6:15. Nothing during car week happens on time. I get out there 6:14. I round the corner and I see nobody in the lobby, and I'm like, no. So I start running and I see the trolley outside, and I round the corner, open the door, and the trolley starts to move, and I'm like, no.
I'm here.
Flag them down. They open the door, let me in, and I like walk on, and everybody's just kind of like silent. Like, there's the new guy. And so I do the walk of shame to the back of the trolley. There's no seats left, and stand up. And then the trolley starts to move again. And 5 seconds later, Chip Foose and his wife come out like, hey, wait for us, wait for us. I'm like, shoo.
You weren't the last guy.
I wasn't the last guy. Of course, he gets on, they all cheer. And I'm like, oh, come on. He gets to be late, but I don't.
I thought you were about to say that he like dove and opened the door for you to get on the bus to make sure you didn't get left behind. But no, he just saved
he just
you some
took the
shame.
attention off of me. But of course, 5 minutes later, I thought of the perfect line. Is as I got on the trolley super late, I should have just been like, well, it's the first time in history Cannonballer's been late for anything.
Ooh, that would have been good.
That would have been really good.
No one told you had to wear the tie?
Nobody told me I had to wear the tie.
Well, that's not on you.
Yeah, it does seem like something that should be explained.
Yeah.
At the breakfast, they were giving out ties for like the 3 people who either wore an alternate tie or didn't wear a tie. They like brought them with them to be like, yes, that you're wearing.
There was
this.
an implication there. There was
There's
a strong
an implication, and I did not get that memo.
Did you enjoy your judging experience?
I think so. Yeah.
I got a, in my opinion, a pretty good photo of you giving you were smelling something in the engine bay of an E36. You're looking very judgmentally.
Oh
down
yes. Well, I judge at all car shows, just not officially.
You had a clipboard this time. That
usually
actually
I'm
mattered.
judging people.
You looked the part though.
The most painful part about it, the guy deserved to win. In my class, there was a very, very clean, almost overly restored Porsche 944 that a kid had bought when he was 16. He had owned it for 13 years. Low mileage, really, really nice. But the Porsche snob in me hated that I gave a best-in-class to an automatic 944. No. And he kept saying, it's rare, it's automatic, it's rare. And I'm like, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. That's not a plus.
Anytime somebody talks to me about transaxle Porsches especially and is like, well, the automatic is rarer than the manual, it like makes me twitchy and I kind of want to smack them.
Right.
Like, isn't it a 4-speed auto? That can't be a good time. Like, anyway, it was very clean. In this man's defense, that was probably the cleanest 944 I had seen in a long time, especially because it was an early car, right?
Yeah, it was an 83. Yep.
Yeah. Cleanest one I had seen in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was good, though. What was your favorite part of it?
I always love of the weekend the tour because it's usually rainy because it's New England at the end of at the beginning of fall. So you see these amazing cars driving in the rain and everybody's having a good time and they're filthy and so I like that.
It was ironic that there was 4 Corvettes at the Corvette Corral because it was raining. Yet there was 150 priceless historic vehicles parked in the middle of the street.
Just it warms my heart so much to see that, like the fact that it even exists.
Yes, that's why we make fun of Corvette owners.
Absolutely. But I think car wise, I mean, there was a lot of amazing stuff. There was like a class filled with like old racing cars. There was a 300 SL Gullwing that won Le Mans back in like the 50s. Incredible. I loved the Ghia jet car. That is just so much like 50s retrofuturism that I never thought. I've never seen a like turbine car. Yeah. It looks like a toy.
Yep.
And it was just so cool to see something like that in person because I never have before of that like concept car style situation. So I just like I saw that being pushed in because I didn't want to start it, which would have been cool. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Like, what is going on? So
That's
it
great.
was a good time.
It's great. Let's grab a commercial, and then we'll be back with a market update and some more things and your questions.
And Switchcast is also brought to you by Celebrity Machines. Celebrity Machines offers more than 250 different screen-accurate license plates as they've appeared in movies and TV shows, such as Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, The Fast and the Furious, Breaking Bad, and so many more. Celebrity Machines also makes our dealer insert plates, as well as our commemorative 2539 plates from the fastest cannonball run ever. Visit CelebrityMachines.com for more info and use promo code SWITCHCAST to save 25.39% at checkout.
Rapid fire.
Doug, you dropped your hat. Your very important hat.
Yes. So every now and then we get gifts here on the podcast. And People say some unkind things about me on the internet. I notice I didn't say untrue. They may be true, but Proverbs, the Bible, somewhere in the Bible, it says, "Speak the truth in love," and people on the internet are speaking the truth, not so much in love.
No, saying.
But anyway,
hate,
a
vitriol.
while ago, one of my favorite, we'll call them, I don't know, mean tweets, whatever you call them, was this absolute utter pinecone has no effing idea what he's talking about. So apparently that resonated with people.
I think that might be my favorite snippet of the show that we've ever created.
Yes. Did that make it into a highlight?
Yeah, it was called "Don't Be a Pine Cone."
Right.
Oh, so good.
Anyway, so a listener, Jeff, brought by this awesome hat, which has a main pinecone plate on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. And
Favorite.
you walked around Audrain Motor
I
Week
did
wearing
walk
that
around
hat.
Audrain wearing this, not when I was judging. But, yeah, we also got a package from Maine. There seems to be a theme here. From another listener. It says, "You pinecone for the Switchcast crew." And it's
Oh my
a
goodness.
box
Oh, there we go.
full of pine cones. So I think we might
fantastic.
have to make this part of the permanent
Yes.
studio
Oh.
decoration.
It's fall. We're creating a whole sort of aesthetic in here.
That's great.
Is
Also
it literally
got-
just a box of pine cone? Oh.
No, I also got this is from my childhood. It's a Chevy bow tie box, but this is it's quartz accuracy, water resistant, 3-year warranty, and it is the box for my original Corvette watch that I had when I was a
Whoa.
kid. Yeah, right.
Wow.
Of course you had a Corvette watch
Of course,
as a
I
kid.
had a Corvette watch.
So it seems like you're popular enough for people to send you some gifts, which is pretty cool. I do have a new comment here from the internets. If you
Oh,
want to
really?
hear it,
Is it nice?
Yes. It's a comment.
Is it true?
It's a comment. It's,
All right.
nice typo in the title of this video. Can't stand Doug either. Gives off a Walmart version Patrick Dempsey, who is a Target version of Paul Newman, wannabe race car driver / car dealer / YouTuber. So maybe not nice.
That's.
I'm not sure if I believe it, but
I mean,
Well, the typo's my fault. Don't take that out on Doug. That can,
producer Ethan.
that can easily be attributed to me. Yeah.
some of those things, I'm not sure that they're not compliments. I'm okay with being a Walmart version of a Target version of Paul Newman.
Yeah, like it's honestly not all that bad.
Paul,
Thank
I'd be
you.
any version of Paul Newman. You kidding me?
Right?
That's great.
And Patrick Dempsey is McDreamy. Come on, I'll take the Ames version of him. Kmart. Kmart. I'll be the Kmart clearance aisle version.
I also love that you're apparently being a wannabe car dealer. Yeah, sorry. I guess you haven't succeeded yet
Right.
at all.
Wannabe race car driver is every car guy on the planet, by the way.
100%.
Sorry,
Oh.
unless you are getting paid to race, then you are a wannabe race car driver. I don't care what championships you've won. If you wrote the check, you're a wannabe because
Oh,
you're not a
yeah.
professional. So,
100%.
again, those things are all true, and I'm okay with that. That's like the meanest, not mean feedback anyway. Speaking of a wannabe car dealer, we talk about the market on stuff and advise people on what the market's doing. And one of my favorite things to do is look at year over year bring a trailer transactions. So like the exact same car selling a year ago and then selling today without any fundamental differences. And we participated in this particular auction. We sold a 1975 Unimog on Bring a Trailer today. And the buyer bought it just about a year ago on Bring a Trailer, almost to the day. And last year, he paid $58,000 plus buyer fee, and it sold today for $69,500 plus buyer fee.
Nice.
So we've looked at a whole bunch of different cars year over year, and some of them have been up, some of them have been down, but it's always interesting to see a particular niche's trajectory and how it falls within the overall market trajectory, which a lot of people would argue is softening right now. Well, I'm here to tell you that the Unimog market is strong as ever, up 20% over last year. So there. Another update we have, the kit car topic is incredibly popular and on an ongoing basis.
Is that still rolling?
That's still rolling.
Is it because we keep talking about it?
Yes, probably. Probably. But, let's not get in the weeds with things like that. Speaking of hate mail that I received, though, probably the most amount of recent flack that I've gotten has, after, euthanizing the feral cat that threatened to destroy my storage business, anyway, is from trolling that Countach kit car owner. Like, a lot of people canceled me in their own minds.
Why?
Because of that. I don't know. I heard words that I'm not going to repeat, but no good explanation. But like watching people defend this guy or vilify me for like trolling him or being petty or letting him live rent free in my head or whatever, is I came to the conclusion that the people who are most likely to defend those who tell white lies, quote unquote, are people who like are of the same persuasions. Like they're willing to stretch the truth as long as it, quote unquote, doesn't hurt anybody. But I also believe that there is no difference, right? If you're willing to lie about a small thing, then you'll lie about a big thing, right? Like it's a character trait, not just a harmless thing of like, oh, well, my Countach is real. Well, I'm just telling it so my friends will respect me. Okay, well, what else will you do, right? And to that end, there was a GT3 RS that popped up at Rennsport Reunion this weekend. And somebody sent me the photos. And the guy was claiming that it was an Etna blue paint to sample rest of world car, they call it. So basically non-North American production.
Scam. Oh, wait. Sorry, wrong bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that the guy's like, this is BS. There's no way. And I got other photos of it. And the paintwork was so obvious. It was terrible. You could see, you could tell that it had been painted and not well. But this guy is talking about how it's an Etna blue car. Now, most people would say, well, just leave him alone. It's harmless fun. Who cares? Well, that's only who cares until he tries to sell it and make another $200,000 on the car because it's a paint to sample car. But what got interesting is the guy who saw this car asked me to like verify it. He's like, is this a thing? And I said, well, I'm 99% sure that they never, ever, ever made a paint to sample 997.1 GT3 RS. They only offered it in the second generation. But I'm like, I'll never say never because there's a Sultan of Brunei. So maybe. But he sent me the VIN, and the VIN was super weird because the 10th digit was an A, which for North America, that would mean it's a 2010. They only made the 997.1 GT3 RS in 0708. Bear with us, those of you who are not 997 GT3 nerds. This is getting into the weeds, but it matters. So that would indicate that it was a 2010 GT3, but it wasn't a rest of world VIN prefix. It was a WP0AC299. So that's a US/North American market car. Could be Puerto Rico, could be Mexico, whatever. Could also be Saudi because they use those VINs. So it's like, okay, maybe Saudi Arabia uses the US VIN prefixes, but not the same 10th digit year denomination, whatever. I'm like, there's a slim possibility this is legit, but I don't think so. What made it more interesting is the license plate on the car decoded to a 2002 996 Carrera.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, well, fine. He imported it, didn't get plates for it, swapped plates on it. Still could be legit, but it's looking increasingly unlikely. I pulled the VIN with Porsche. Sure enough, it is a 2010 GT3 in Guards Red registered in Mexico.
So
a 2010 GT3, not a 997.1 even, a 2010 GT3 VIN on a 2007 911 with a 2002 996 plate on it. So I made this post like this guy's, it has to be a stolen car. I talked to a number of state authorities, police, whatever, and they're like, yeah, there's the only explanation for this is it's stolen, which was the conclusion I came to, but I wanted to be like, what am I missing before I call this guy out? And my mind is blanking. Thank you very much. Ethan, can you fix this on the audio podcast?
Just cut this out.
Right. So people were like, "Oh man, what does it matter? Why do you have to troll this guy? Who cares? This is so petty. Just let him have his story." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. This car is probably stolen. So somebody out there wants their car back, and he's showing up at a show telling everybody it's an Etna blue paint sample car, and like, who cares about the little white lie? But it proves in a sense that like, if you're willing to lie about one thing, what else? Like, this could be a part of an international auto theft ring."
Yeah.
Right?
It could be very serious. And also the people who sit there be like, my car is special because blah, blah, they're exhausting. We don't let them have their stories.
Well, and the irony is, if he hadn't lied about it, nobody would care. If he said, "Yeah, I got this repainted GT3 RS," nobody would take a picture of his VIN.
No, because they'd be like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then move on.
Exactly. Exactly. He tried to make it more special than it was. So I still don't have like a follow-up on that. I alerted some authorities to it, and they said they were going to turn it over to the Auto Theft Task Force. So we'll see. It interested them enough to look into it, but the wheels of justice grind exceedingly slowly, right? Is that how it goes? So the car's probably gone now. But anyway,
Yeah,
I thought that
somewhere.
was kind of interesting. We'll follow up on that and see if we if anyone was at Rensport, saw the car, has any more information. We'd love to hear about it.
We did get a message in YouTube chat that says, "You're welcome, Doug," from Erod. I'm guessing that is the human that sent you this wonderful Pinecone package. So they're hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you. We have a really good wall of shame tonight, which is, This comes to us from a fellow dealer down in Florida, and they were attempting to sell a car. Tyler, you want to read that one for us?
Yeah, who am I going to be?
Just read the whole thing.
Okay.
We're not going to do play acting here. Come on, it's for children.
So was it you sent the "we can do 73K"?
So this wasn't me. This was a fellow dealer.
Oh,
but
okay,
yes,
that's right.
the seller. This is a 996 turbo. So market value is like 45 for a terrible one, 90 for the best one in the world. But like run of the mill good ones are like 55 to 75 grand. And I think that's what they were asking for theirs. And theirs is a nice car.
Yes. So then the buyer was like, LOL, laughing emoji, $35,000 over value. To which the dealer responds, well, how many of these have you bought? And they're like, well, how many have you sold? You're a dealer and guaranteed not past a high school diploma degree.
Ooh. That's probably accurate, but that
still,
doesn't mean we don't know basic math.
Yikes. So then this dealer said, over 10 996 turbos this year. Hope you get a hug from someone today. Jesus loves you. Which is so good. This guy named Jeff just got absolutely roasted.
Oh, gosh. He thinks the 996 turbo is worth 35 grand and then asks the dealer how many he's sold.
Like,
Yep, actually 10 this year.
Yeah. Good luck.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, you're living back like 4 years ago. Sorry, bud.
Oh, man.
The wheels of the economy have turned.
Yes.
And the eggies are becoming stylish. Not really, but
I don't remember the last time a good 996 turbo was 35 grand, period. Like, I sold a couple 10 years ago with like 100,000 miles for that, but they were never good ones for that money.
people seem to remember things weirdly. I remember when I was looking, just in general, just out car shopping, there's still people out there today that think a Miata and a 944 are sub $10,000 car for like a reasonable one. And I'm like, in what
Jeepers.
world? Where are you living?
So speaking of Countach kit cars, to follow on this theme, I get sent marketplace listings on the regular for people selling Countach kit cars, thinking it's the one that I saw. And it isn't, but a name that continuously pops up with one that's for sale is Eddie Zillen. He's a local person who owns cars.
There's a description of this guy.
And he's also a Instagram influencer, we think. I don't know how many of his followers are paid to be followers, but yeah. Anyway, so he's listing a second Countach kit car. He's had one for sale locally that's been for sale for freaking ever, like a year and a half. But he listed this second one. It says, selling this beautiful Lamborghini Countach, period. right?
Okay.
The vehicle gets far too much attention everywhere you drive and looks absolutely stunning. Blah, 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 blah. Has a real Countach rear wing and wheels. Recent 5K in service, which includes blah, 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 tune-up, new water pump. Car has a V6 Chevy motor, 350 horsepower. That's
So it's not a beautiful
ambitious.
Lamborghini Countach.
No, it's not a beautiful Lamborghini Countach. The car looks amazing, but does needs very few items. Yep, there it is. There it is. Bumper could use a refinish, blah, blah, blah. Overall, the car looks great. You also won't find a Countach reproduction with this type of quality and accuracy at this listed price of $73,000.
What?
Won't last, priced to sale. This is what I love. The car was completed in 2010. No expense was spared.
And drove less than 500 miles on the build, too.
Right. But the comments on no expense was spared were awesome. It's like, yeah, except the expense of a real Countach.
Yeah.
You put a V6 in it and you said no expense spared. Yeah, no, you could have put a small block in it at least.
And started the ad with selling this beautiful Lamborghini Countach. That's the part that gets me the most.
But then he finishes with located in Denver, Colorado. Now, Eddie lives in Chagrin Falls, and he has for as long as I've known who he is. And then somebody posted in the comments like, hey, man, those are, Mo's cars. Because there's a bunch of, there's a Testarossa and a bunch of real exotics in the photos.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this isn't Eddie's car. Because he's tried to broker a few cars that he didn't own before and done it poorly, we'll say. I'm not going to say he was scamming anyone, but he tried to sell this awful abomination of a Porsche to me. And I was like, dude, the car's worth like 10 grand. The next day he posted it up on Marketplace for 35, and it was at a shop, and it wasn't even his. But anyway, so these cars aren't even his. He's just listing them for a guy, not a car broker. He's just putting them up. So not that anyone's in any danger of spending too much on a Countach kit car, but if you were, do your due diligence and watch out for people like Eddie Zillen who are listing cars for other people that probably don't even know they're being listed.
Wasn't that amazing Countach kit car reproduction thing not that much north of 70 grand anyway?
The Prova?
Yeah.
That is as real as they get. Yeah, that was asking 105, and it's been for sale for a while. So I bet you could shrewdly negotiate it down. Yeah. On that note, let's move to the appraiser. Although we have one more commercial first. Let's commercial then appraiser.
Yes, Switchcast is brought to you by Nuts for Sticks. Nuts for Sticks is a brand celebrating the manual transmission in all its forms. Forget those flappy paddles, we like shifting ourselves. Check out our fun and funny stick-themed shirts at nutsforsticks.com and save 10% on your order using the discount code SWITCHCAST. That is nutsforsticks.com and code SWITCHCAST. Oh, the appraiser.
Yes, let's see how we did.
The appraiser.
Oh, the appraiser. So last week I picked a Jeep Gladiator 6-wheel thing on Cars and Bids.
Thing.
$250,000 build. And you guessed 130 grand. Did you see what it didn't go for?
No, I entirely forgot. This was such an abomination in my eyeballs that I blocked it from memory.
So good. Well, it bid to 81 grand.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Now, there's some very strong opinions on the auction about how to market this thing, which I will say is very tough to market a custom build if you haven't built a brand, right? Like Arconic for Land Rovers or Singer or any number of people that do these custom jobbers. Singer is going to sue me after this for calling them a custom jobber.
Singer, custom jobbers. Get them over.
Yes. Anyway. But usually people's opinions on an auction about how the seller should sell things are not taken. They're taken with a grain of salt. Like, I love it when people tell me how I should market something. And I'm like, thanks, bro. I've sold a couple thousand cars. I think I got it. Yeah. But they were actually right. They're like, Cars and Bids is not the place to try to sell a super custom Jeep like that. Like, you have to build an audience and spend a lot of time marketing it and promoting it and stuff like that and find the right buyer and not put it on a week-long auction
Yeah,
thing.
you gotta find
that's
out
tough.
where all the beefy dudes with tribal tattoos hang out and just post up out of there a few days of the week. And
Tyler's reusing lines now.
nope, that's fine.
Hopefully our listeners have short-term memory.
Yeah, like
Anyway, so we had a similar experience trying to sell a heavily built F450 Super Duty thing, and it was very well done. But the guy didn't have any brand recognition. It was the first one he had built, so people weren't willing to pay that premium.
So was this something that the seller built essentially themselves?
I haven't the faintest idea
Because I thought it was some
think
company.
so.
I've seen a couple of these around that look, but they could just be other people doing the same thing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, anyway, tough market out there for a Jeep Gladiator $250,000 build. Last week you picked for me a 98 911 Carrera S, last year 993, pastel yellow over chestnut brown, 38,000 miles and one owner. It was a little bit of a difficult auction because there's some things not perfect with the car, but
Yeah, like that undercoating was wild.
yeah, it was like black chassis
Yes.
black on a Porsche instead of the factory Cosmoline, so that hurt it some. But anyway, I guessed $180,000 and it sold for
175.
baby. Which, side note, with the $5,000 buyer's fee is $180,000.
That is unfortunately the best result we've had so far.
In the words of Andy Bernard, nailed it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So technically I missed by $5,000 because the buyer's fee doesn't count, but I'm counting it as a win.
I did notice some bids in here. I was scrolling through the comments. Like some people are bidding like $250 here towards the end. I can't believe there's no like scaling minimum bid.
That is very true. That's something P-Car Market needs to fix because you go to a real auction, try to bid a $250 increment on a $150,000 car, that's not going to
laughed
fly.
out of the room. The
Right.
guy that does Gooding at Amelia, or at least has recently, like he will just completely lambast you.
Yes.
Like, are you serious?
For
You're
two
wasting
small
my
bid
time.
increments. Yeah, he'd have you at $5,000. Another thing, there was a incorrect bid where somebody bid $200,000 and then outbid themselves, but they were trying to bid on a different auction. So right near the end, everyone's like, "Oh, game over at $200,000." But then that bid got retracted, and there was some fun there. But anyway, so next week for you, Tyler,
Oh boy.
I went back to P-Car Market, and I just went through the no reserve ones, which there was only like 2 cars selling no reserve, mostly as memorabilia. But I'm like, all right, no reserve is like, it's there to sell. It's real market. So we found a 2006 997 Carrera 4. So the Carrera 4 is all-wheel drive, and it's the wide body in a 997. So it's a 997 Carrera 4 coupe, 6-speed manual in boring Arctic silver over black.
Womp womp.
No special options. Got the 5-spoke Carrera Classic 3 wheels, just kind of vanilla spec. It has 130,000 miles on it. Clean Carfax, appears to be mostly original paint. Looks like it should for $130K. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look good. Photos are nice. Recent service, new clutch, ignition coil, spark plugs, brakes, water pump, coolant tank, blah, blah, blah. So it's a good driver.
What about the IMS, Doug?
It has 130,000 miles. Should be more worried about bore scoring at that point.
Yeah, things will be smacking around in there potentially.
Right. I don't know. I've had a number of high mileage 911s, 997s. They've all been fine. So I guess the ones that are, and the ones that aren't. That's how I choose to live my life, in ignorance. So
I aspire to be at that level. But my anxiety, it prevents me. Anyway.
All right, pick a number.
$35,000.
Okay. That's a pretty good guess.
I feel like, you can get I feel like 35 low 30s is a really nice 996 or a really high mileage 997 price range. So,
Yeah.
and it's not an S, but I mean, it honestly
I feel
seems
like I gave
pretty
you
fun car.
a gift this week after that terrible Jeep thing last week.
I really appreciate
that was mean. But I just went through the no reserves, and I'm like, all right, 997, easy enough. What does a high
It
mileage
does
997 go for?
seem like a pretty honest car,
Yeah.
all in.
All right, what do you got for me?
Okay, so I didn't actually look for this car. It was presented to
It
me.
found you?
It did. The glorious Instagram algorithm. And I couldn't not do this car. So for you, this is on Bring a Trailer. You're going to want to look this up.
Okay.
This
Give
is
the listeners an idea.
So this is a 1993 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham hearse.
Oh, come on.
But
20 grand? I don't know.
what? But this is a Miyagata style. So it was exported from the U.S. in 1993 and has
Japan.
a
Oh my
custom-made
gosh.
wood, like
Oh, it's like the
hand-carved.
Toyota Century hearse.
Yes.
It's a friggin' Buddhist temple on an El Camino.
hand-carved wood. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
It has like a painting of a dragon on the roof on the inside. It is almost exactly, just not as nice, but it's very close to being like that Century
golly.
hearse.
I'd rather have the Century for
Oh.
what it's worth.
100%. It's got blue cloth
It
interior.
is definitely not as ornate as the hearse.
No,
I
but
mean,
it's-
as the Century hearse.
like the inside is like all gold painted.
Oh, my
and like,
word.
It is a sight to behold, and it looks
that
weird
is
on
a
a Cadillac.
fashionable way to die.
Right. So it's got the clean.
Can I reuse all my jokes from last time?
Sure, I
Like,
reused a line.
carving this was quite the undertaking.
Honestly, no, that was pretty good. But it's two-tone black and like chrome on the bottom. So like it's an early '90s Cadillac.
If I bought one for me and one for my wife, they'd be his and hers.
Sure.
I'm literally reusing all of the jokes.
I just heard these before. But it's it was imported back to the States in 2020. It's black with a blue interior, clean Carfax, clean Montana title, resides in California, 26,000 miles.
Well, this is where it comes to the edify and educate part of Switchcast, because all you listeners are going to be Japanese hearse experts on the market after
Oh yeah.
after these two. What the frickin'
What do you even like value this? How
I
can
don't
you
know,
even-
because that other Century one sold for a world record $45,000, but this is a Cadillac. Like, it's going to offend everybody because, like, it's Japanese and American. Like,
I feel like in Japan, this probably was seen as like some sort of quirky thing. It's like, oh, it's an American hearse, but we did it up in our style. Here it might
I
just
don't
be
know.
tacky.
They're very proud of their culture, so
It was there for like 27 years though.
okay. Oh man.
Good luck.
I can't stand you. Can I do the phone a friend or ask the audience? All right, I
No.
need help from the
Negative.
Come on.
What is your
Come
guess,
on.
Doug? I was too
I
kind
can't
last
pull
time.
MMR. I can't pull comps on this.
This might
watch
be
me
one of
get
one.
it right.
If you get
Watch
it right,
me
I might
friggin' get it
give
right.
up
26,000 miles. Oh gosh.
Need the Jeopardy music. Ethan, can you cue that up in post? Is that a thing?
18
Copyright prevents it.
Can you hum it?
Blemishes
Maybe
include
sing
bubbling beltline trim, crack bait, and chip bumper trim. There's no way this can go for anywhere near. Okay, I'm going 18,000.
All right, 18,000. Locking it in.
Yeah,
Ooh.
18,000.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be cruel, but I couldn't not. Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. If you're listening, you got to go look it up. It's on Bring a Trailer. Ends in a couple of days.
Oh, what was that sound?
I have no idea.
Oh, I just bid on it.
Did you really?
I did. I bid 7,500.
Just getting it. I swear, if you win this, it'll be my winter daily. I'll try. Oh God.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Good to know that you keep the
if you
sound
put
on there,
if you
computer.
put a 427 like an LS7 engine in that Cadillac,
Oh yeah.
it could be a Zen 06.
Is that? Nah.
Buddhist temple on the back. Zed 06. Come on, give me a little bit. All right, that one was reaching. That was reaching. All right. On that note, it is time for the props and the flops. And live viewers, stick around. We will do Tip Talk this week. So if TikTok is working, is it working?
Yeah, we had to plug back in the charger.
All right,
here,
having
but-
audio technical difficulties on TikTok, so we appreciate you guys being with us through it all, really roughing it over there without the pre-mixed nice sound.
Yeah, I hope you can hear us.
We'll stick around for Tip Talk that get in your questions for the live segment after the regular recorded segment of the show. So, Props and Flops are brought to you by Switch Cars.
Switch Cars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, consign, service, and store only cars that we like ourselves. So check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com. And our pick of the week from Switch Cars inventory is
1982 Porsche 911 SC, finished in striking white over black interior. This example sports many numerous aftermarket modifications and upgrades, which will suit only the most discriminating driver. It is, yep, okay, I'm out of
discriminating.
cheese.
Do you mean discerning?
No, discriminating.
No, discriminating? All
Yeah,
right.
discriminate against crappy cars.
Love it.
No, it's this super outlaw build, wide body, steel fenders, RSR style bumper. Yeah, the
It's
seats,
hot.
the engine, everything is built, suspension. I forget all the details, but it doesn't matter. The thing looks clean, and yeah, everybody needs a 911, an air-cooled 911 Outlaw in their life. So hit us up if you need a really, really nicely done example, because there's a lot of hodgepodge Frankensteins, and this is not one of them.
It's so clean.
Flop of the week. Some rapper, social media influencer, something. This kind of made its way around the internet. They traded in their 2007 Mustang for a 2015 GT with a 5-liter. Promptly wrecked it on the way home from the dealership.
In classic Mustang fashion.
Yeah, their story was that, like they were driving home and boom, an accident happened in front of them and they had to switch over to a different highway and it was raining and they just accelerated a little bit to change lanes and boom, that's when they crashed. That's how it goes. Yeah, you put your foot down in a 400 horsepower Mustang in the rain and boom, it just happens. But the interesting thing about this is he never activated his insurance.
Uh-oh.
So he out car and money. Now, there's an interesting discussion here, right? Some people say the dealer's to blame, right? Because they didn't, require insurance before he left. Some people might say, or, my thought was, okay, depending on the state, there's a grace period where you don't have to actually tell your insurance company you buy a new car. Your existing coverage carries over, and it's a state law that, you will be covered. Now, there's, he went from an 07 Mustang, which probably was worth $7,000, to a much newer, more expensive car, so he may not have had full coverage on that one. So in that case, he would have actually had to get proper collision insurance. But there are a lot of different ways to skin this cat, right? Because some states require dealers to get proof of insurance before you leave. Some of them only require it on a finance deal. Other states, if it's only required on a finance deal, on a cash deal, you're required to have insurance, but it's not the dealer's responsibility to make sure the customer has insurance before they leave. So the long and short of it is, right, again, we're not here to give legal advice. Check your laws before you buy a car. Know what state you're in, know what you need to do. And if you have to activate insurance, I know, for example, New York does not have a grace period. You have to have insurance on the car when you leave the lot with it. So know what you're friggin' doing before you drive off the lot.
Yeah, because that's such a serious thing. It's easy to make fun of a Mustang owner doing that, but that's got to feel terrible. They were probably so excited about their new car, out all this money, and now this terrible situation.
The prop of the week, the best of show at the 2023 Audrain Concours this past weekend was a 1938 Delage owned by Fritz Burkhardt. That's not the prop. He already got his award and the accolade that goes with it.
Yes.
The prop is that he drove that thing hundreds of miles to the show from Vermont.
What?
Yeah, in an open top, priceless, rare 1938 Delage.
And that thing is massive and swoopy and gorgeous, and I did not know that he drove it there until tonight. Like, that blows my mind.
Right. We passed him on the highway very close to Newport, but I just thought he was like unloading it from his trailer 10 miles away and drove it over. But yeah, he was
so
rocking
much
it on the
respect.
highway. He drove up to take his award with mud on his tires and on the fenders and stuff. I'm like, that's awesome.
Oh, so much respect.
That's awesome. Yes.
If I had that kind of money, I hope that I would do some silly stuff like that just for the heck of it.
Yep. He would have no problem with the Porsche no flipping rule.
No.
If you had to put a certain number of miles on it, he'd
be like, all right.
Yep. Okay. Anyway, well, thank you all for listening. Thank you to Ethan Huffnagel and Tyler Sanders for keeping us going here. Thank you to our sponsors, Bucks for Cast, Boxcast, Nuts for Sticks, Switch Cars, Celebrity Machines, Parallel Printworks, and Stephen Holm Woodworking. Our bumper music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. This episode will be available next Monday in audio format wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. as we look forward to edifying, educating, and entertaining you on the drive of your life. Stick around, live viewers. We're going to go to Tip Talk, so get your questions and comments in, and we'll have some fun with you.
Yeah, so I do have a correction. Erod got you the hat, not the box of pine cones. I was confused. I knew
that.
I'm over here being incorrect.
This guy.
We had a couple of people notice the sign behind you. So for those of you listening, there is a sign from the Audrain Tour d'Elegance behind Doug, and they very much appreciated you obtaining that.
It was a gift.
It actually was.
Yeah. I don't know how that person obtained it, but...
somebody also wants to know where you got that Autobahn sign.
Yeah, so that used to be sold through VinWiki. They are all gone now, other than some scratch and dent ones. So, I don't know. Message Jason Robinson and offer him money
luck.
for a scratch and dent one, I guess.
Devin Ruckus, on to a real question now. How much of an abomination will the Cybertruck be when it gets fitted with NHTSA conforming bumpers? Isn't it already hideous?
Was the question how much more of an abomination?
How much of an abomination? But I think more is probably
Right.
correct.
Yeah, can you have more than 100%?
If you're really trying, really putting in that effort.
It's gonna be like those football players in high school. I always give 110%. That's how much of an abomination it'll be. It's not gonna make it. Sorry. No. It'll have to be. I was looking at a photo of one today. It will have to be autonomous because the blind spots on that thing are worse than a Lamborghini Countach.
Oh, they have to be.
Like, with no mirrors and fully tinted windows. Like, I don't understand how you could see anything out of that thing. I mean, I guess it'll all be cameras and screens or something, but they can't even get the water to seal right and the chassis not to be structurally dangerous. So
Yeah,
they're a long way from worrying about NHTSA bumpers.
Lucas T on TikTok says, do you think that time spent on a racing sim translates to real-world skill/knowledge on the track?
We've been asked this question before. I used to think no. Here's the thing. I don't think there's a direct correlation between driving skill and sims, right? You can be an amazing driver and terrible at sims because I am both. If you are good at sims or video, a number of years back that did the same thing. And it's no argument that F1 drivers and drivers at the highest level use sims to practice. So I think there's definitely a correlation. I don't think it's necessarily a direct relationship, right? Because there's so many other factors. Like the G-forces don't exist in a sim. Fear doesn't exist in a sim. Looking at a wall you're about to hit and calculating dollar value doesn't exist in a sim. So there's some things that don't translate. So I would say for some people, they're there's a correlation and benefit, but it's not guaranteed.
Well, and that's the one thing that, I mean, I love me some racing sims. I've not spent too much time on a track at all, but the biggest thing I noticed when I did was that feeling the car move around me was so helpful for just knowing when to brake or if I was about to lose it. Like, you got to play off of sounds or like how your force feedback changes in your wheel in a sim. Like, there's other more video gamey things you have to use to be good. And you're right, the fear thing, like I've done some stuff in video games that there is no way I'd have the chutzpah to do in real life.
The one thing that bothers me about video games, and I don't know, maybe the best sims have fixed this, is when you're racing or driving fast or anything, the training that I've received is always look where you want to go. Look down the road. Don't look at the apex you're about to hit. Like, be looking at the next corner already. You can't do that on a sim.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Right? Like, you can't look around the corner on a sim. And if you go into a slide, like, the screen follows the front of the car. Like, maybe if they had a thing attached to your head, so it's like, oh, I can look over there even though the car's going this way. Like, I think that would be cool. But
you could do that with like a VR headset if you don't get too motion sick.
Sure. I would throw up in about 2 minutes.
A lot of kind comments expressing their appreciation for your content, Doug. So shout out to
kind, like Pinecone kind.
No, kind,
or
genuinely kind. You're the best.
Walmart Patrick Dempsey kind.
Content. No, it's genuinely kind. So shout out to Nomad, to Old Man With, and to Jeff. We appreciate that. Someone did want to know a little bit earlier on. Hunter says, "It's Doug. Tell us your worst car dude experience."
My worst car dude experience.
Now, you could interpret that in probably a myriad of ways, but a car dude, I'm assuming, what's your worst experience with a self-described car dude? Or just in general, like as a car dude, what's your worst life experience? Like I don't know. There's a lot of things you could read
There's
into
a lot
this
of
question.
worst ones. Yeah.
Doug's
I try
looking
to
like
block them all out.
Doug in headlights right now. He's like, oh, God.
That's a
No.
crazy, that's wild.
Is it like having a bad experience with a car, losing money on a car, meeting a hero that you think is terrible?
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that one. Spicy
Tell us
content.
about that one.
Yeah. Like, who have you met that was just kind of terrible that you hoped would not be?
Well, Mark Spence.
No.
No, Mark Spence references me in the sense of like, don't meet your heroes. He keeps coming back to that.
See? That's good.
Yeah, I mean, the car business has jaded me to that because there's so many people that I expect to be car people or just reasonable in general, and they just start spouting stupid, slimy car salesman lines, and it kind of ruins it. And not just that, but the customers. I mean, I deal with it on a weekly basis is being let down by people that I think will be car people, but I don't know. Yeah, Casey Putch is vying for creating a worst car dude experience this week. He's trying very, very hard. I've never personally met him, but he's digging a deep, deep hole for a lot of his fans this week. Yeah, he's basically said he's totally done with the automotive community, that we're all sucking the life out of him, and that he's sacrificed so many things for the automotive community and never gotten anything back. And it's like, you know what? I wasn't let down because I kind of saw that in his character a long, long time ago, but it's not great for the car community to have that kind of a drama. So that's a contender.
Just how about we make it a little bit more lighthearted?
Yeah, sorry.
The Mystic on YouTube asks,
Like
what
Mystic Cobra? Tell me you have a Mystic Cobra.
I hope so. I don't know if it's spelled. Is it MYSTIC?
Yes.
Oh, it might be.
Or maybe he lives in Mystic, Connecticut, so I don't know.
What movie
Or
has
he
a better
reads
intro?
palms.
Rain Man or Cannonball?
Huh.
Cannonball Run. That is.
Well, there's also, isn't there also just a Cannonball movie?
I think there is.
Isn't there
That's why I had
Cannonball
to
and then
specify.
Cannonball Run and Cannonball 2? Anyway, it's hard to top. Yeah, Cannonball is 1976.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was talking about.
Yeah, because Cannonball Run was 1981. It's kind of hard to top the intro to Cannonball Run.
It's real good.
It's really hard. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say Cannonball Run. I don't remember the intro to Cannonball, honestly.
Stephen Wines wants to know what the best midlife crisis car at 200K is. No Corvettes.
Best midlife crisis car?
Can you even spend $200K on a Corvette?
Absolutely. Brand new Z06.
Oh.
Or like any number of classic Corvettes.
Yeah, just putting me in my place, my own anti-Corvette curmudgeonness over here. Like,
No Corvettes.
Sit down, Tyler.
It's a moot
Get
point
out of here.
anyway.
Ferrari 430 Spider. I feel like that's quintessential, like, nouveau rich midlife crisis 200K car. And you could get an F1 for 150 or a stick conversion for 200K. Yeah, that's my pick. Is it the one I buy? No, but you don't buy the best cars at a midlife crisis. That's why it's a crisis. Like, the psychologists tell you that you should never make large decisions or big purchases or anything like life altering when you've had like a loss in the family or lost your job or like some big period of emotional trauma. So the term midlife crisis means that it's not fundamentally going to be a good decision.
How do you control that, though, in the moment? If you're going through trauma or crises or whatever, how do you curb that? Do you just have to have self-awareness?
You can choose not to buy a house 2 weeks after a divorce.
Yeah, it just takes will.
I feel like it's harder to buy a house than to not buy a house. Like,
Fact.
Good word from Doug tonight, folks. It's a good thing I'm sitting down when you drop that, man. That would have knocked me right over. Let's go. What else is on YouTube?
So TreeCat2318 says, someone I knew recently did an LS swap on a 944. What is your opinion on Porsche engine swaps?
I'd love to swap a GT3 engine into my 997.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'd also love to swap a 997 engine into like a Boxster, like a 986 Boxster. Does he mean like anti-purist engine swaps? Like
I think that's what
alternate.
he means. I'd love to put a 968 engine into an early 924.
Listen, there's the Porsche 930 with that tag engine, the Formula One engine. I think that's the greatest
So cool.
anti-Porsche engine swap on the planet. So if you're asking me about opinions, I would buy that in a heartbeat. LS motors into 911s, I don't know. It's kind of cool, I guess.
Have you driven one?
Nope.
I feel like you're losing something. A flat six is a very wonderful thing.
Yeah, you are losing something.
You're just making it sound like
Expensive repairs.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
An IMS. Bore scoring.
Nah,
Anxiety.
no.
Yeah, I would never swap out a Metzger, right? Like, that's terrible. Shouldn't do that.
Oh, yeah.
But, but people do, because in old 930s, people put LSs in those. That's technically a Metzger engine. Yeah. No, I would never own one, but I see why people do them.
Got somebody asking, who's this? Club Racer 6. Is now a good time to start a car dealership?
It's better than 2 years ago. I don't advocate timing for really anything because you're not going to succeed or fail in the car business because of timing. You're going to succeed or fail because you know how to run a business and you make good decisions and you don't over leverage yourself and you sell cars for more than you paid for them. It's a lot easier to make money, for example, between 21 and 22, because even if you screwed up, your car would likely go up in value and you could fix your mistakes, but that doesn't mean you're going to make money long term or that you have a sustainable business. If you know how to buy cars properly, then it doesn't matter when you start. You can start anytime.
Yeah, here we go. Nomad wants to know, what do you think about the big three auto companies on strike? Yeah.
Silly unions.
Could be a whole segment in another
Yeah,
episode,
it could. I think unions had their place 60 plus years ago when employees needed basic rights. But my goodness, like, people have it so good now, and the unions are their own bloated governmental organization that it's almost like people need protections from their own unions, right? A union to represent them against the unions. And there's people getting fat and rich and powerful, cynical about them. I know a lot of small business owners who have to deal with union stuff, and I hear about it all the time, and I'm like, this is asinine. It's not helping anyone. It's increasing costs for the average consumer. All of that stuff is being passed down, and it's not creating a culture of like work ethic, integrity, nothing like that. So I'm very cynical about unions. If I owned any of the big three, I would take this opportunity, if they were on strike, to kick them to the curb and be like, okay, cool. You don't want to work? We'll hire somebody else. So, or people just buy Japanese cars while the unions are on strike against, the big three American manufacturers. So, unions can suck it. I probably shouldn't have said that on live things. My car will get blowed up tomorrow.
Yeah, concrete dust on it all.
Well, at
over.
least this is. Hold on a second. I noticed you drove another convertible car and left the top down today, Doug.
I probably shouldn't have.
So I've got a question I've wanted to ask. I kept it from a previous show from Nick Kruger that was on YouTube, I think, our last show. If you have a car and it has an inaccurate report to Carfax, such as an accident, salvage, mileage, etc., any tips on how to get that removed? I've seen this before, and it seems like a nightmare to deal with.
It's kind of 50-50. Either it's super easy or it's impossible. I've fought with Carfax on a number of things. Sometimes I'll submit it, and they're like, yep, sure, we'll take that right off. And other times you can provide them documentation, and they'll say, no, we trust our source. We verified our source, whatever. It's right. We're not going to fix it. So it's kind of hit or miss. You file a data correction request or whatever they call it online and send them the documentation and cross your fingers and do a little dance and yeah, hope you get a favorable response. So anyway, I'm ready to go. Thank you all for being here tonight. We'll see you next week.